Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Sorry, I'm detained. I had to play with my dog for a second, and then I couldn't get my dog to cooperate. He's like, no, Mom, you're going to go back in front of that silly camera. What the heck? Play with me, play ball. So, yeah. So I'm a little detained this morning. Thank you, Deb. I see you here. I'm going to pull, as usual, the logo out of my face, and holy crap, that light is bright. Whew, mo better, much better. I had the opportunity this morning to get up, and good morning. My name is Kat of CatFurrowArt.com, and I have a whole lot of exciting things to talk about this morning. Woohoo! I had the pleasure of receiving an early morning text earlier than usual. Kind of made my little eyeballs peep up to check on somebody, and anyway, I ended up walking outside, and oh my goodness, the moon this morning, spectacular, just smiling little crescent moon. I think I had to look it up. We're at 27 point something days of the moon cycle, and she was smiling. So I'm excited that we are ending a phase with a smile. Yes, yes, yes. Whole lot to say with that. But anyway, good morning. My name is Kat of Kat Furrow Art, and we are in part 2 of this In Memory of piece that I am so glad a couple of y'all decided to show up for. I appreciate that very, 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 very much. And what I'm really excited about, I'm just going to keep teasing, I think, about it because that's just what I like to do. Is I know who the winner is, and I'm very, oh my God, excited about the winner. I can just talk on and on about the winner of the art giveaway. Makes my flippin' day. And you're like, well, Katie, how did that happen? I'm gonna talk. Oop, I'm back in. Katie, how did that happen? I have a randomizer on my phone. I'm that whack job. Yes, there's an app. Yes, there's an app, I think, for everything. By the way, I'm Kat Furrow Art, and we're going to finish this lovely little girl today. I'm pausing with my coffee. I have a J on my coffee for Jody this morning. My K-cup is in the dishwasher. Anyway, back to the ranch. Art giveaway. I reached out to that person. I'm waiting to hear back from them. And what's really cool is, yes, I have a randomizer. I belong to another organization, and we call on people to share often. And we don't pick on anybody or have favorites. We call by numbers, and we use a randomizer. So I thought, well, I need a randomizer to pick the art winner giveaway. I have someone out there that I teased and said there's no way she could win because I wouldn't allow it. And then she pouted, and then I had to feel bad. And then I had to figure out a solution to make it fair for everybody. La da 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 da. And I did. I had a randomizer. There's an app for everything, almost. There probably is. So I'm pulling some high fluid white before I start babbling again. I have the same brushes that I did in part 1, which are a bunch of random craft brushes. Let's see, which include, one of my favorite brushes is this, it's a dagger. So it has a blade to it, or an angle, a knife edge, a blade to it. So like an angle brush. Where do I have an angle brush out? Yes. Similar to an angle brush, but it has, it's elongated more. So it gives you the opportunity to use it as a flat brush, gives me the opportunity to use it as an angle brush, gives me the opportunity to use it as a point, all kinds of things. Love to use my dagger, so I will use that. I'm going to potentially come back. I know I will use my lovely little pointer. It's a number 2. And we may come back in with these big giant 1-inch brushes, who knows, but really we're down to some detail work and flowers. So I'm pretty much going to be using these smaller brushes, and I have a couple of flats that are here. Yay. I may throw some splatter out there with a toothbrush, who knows. I have white chalk that we will use. I have my purple pastel pencils, which I still need to sharpen because I was playing too much this morning before this class. Let me do that right now. And while I'm sharpening, let me just throw my face in there. Sometimes I babble way too much. I do get feedback on that. Woo-hoo. And it irritates people. That's okay. I'm okay with irritating people, especially this morning. But anyway, the winner, which I'm still not going to say that name, but I will talk about the story behind her in case she happens to show up, is Once Upon a Time. Once upon a time in 2015, I started a business, and I taught myself how to design wine and paint classes. And my goal with those classes was to create a style of art that was different than what I saw out there, and to create art that people could want to hang on their walls. And one of those pieces was my Poppies piece. I'm proud to say that we did for Veterans Day that I painted. Where is she at? I painted at a VFW in Santee, Lakeside, this one, with about 30 women. It was awesome, with water brushes and all kinds of things. It was great. And there was a woman that came in there, which I will not give her name. Then in the short run, she asked me, invited me to do a class at a museum. It was actually painted. Oh, can you imagine doing a paint and sip class in a museum? And it's a museum in El Cajon, the Olaf Weinhorst Museum. And what I'm excited about is that gentleman is a veteran of this country. And after he served, and I don't recall if it was World War I or II, and I should know that. Then he went back to New York City, and he went into law enforcement, and was with the horse, the brigade, or whatever it is, with law enforcement there. And then from there, he became a self-taught artist throughout the West. I think he was buddies with Walt Disney, I believe, somebody big and famous. But his art is amazing. And they had me do a paint and sip class in the museum, surrounded by his art. Unbelievable. We painted a bunch of cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. It was a cool experience. So there. Without saying the name, I just said who won, and I'm very excited about her. She does a lot for the community. Okay, I'm a shush about that. We're going to start painting. Good morning to everybody. I'm Kat of Kat Furrow Art. And yes, I'm a little excited. Mounted Police. Yes, Deb. Thank you. There's my law enforcement representative hanging out with me. Yes. Hey, by the way, thank you for your service. Absolutely, thank you for your service. For those that don't know, Deb is retired dispatcher from, I think it's LAPD. All right, so we're going to make this girl happen, and I'm going to quit babbling for a moment, maybe. I have the high flow white out. I'm going to put some magenta out. And let's see. Let's really make this little cray-cray. Orange. So what are we doing? We're going to make some colorful color. We're going to make skin tone like I like to make. Very colorful and bright. So I'm going to start there with the magenta and the orange. And the reason, so I already have magenta on here, and I have purple on here from yesterday. Underneath, we have the undertones of the reds, the orange, the blues, all the things, right? And I like to say that we are all alike. We have more similarity than we have differences. And so I try to represent that by creating my skin tones all from the same colors usually. So here, I'm going to start with magenta and orange to add to this. So if you can see me on my right, you cannot. Let me shift. My bad. Now you can see me. Now maybe I won't get hollered at. Woohoo! And so this magenta and orange makes a luscious, just Oh, it's so awesome. I don't know. Awesome's a great word. I should come up with another word, but I've been using awesome for at least a decade. It's one of my favorite words to use. It's applicable to most anything. Now look, when I touch in some white, look how like we get some rosiness going on. I can add some more orange to this and it mutes that down. And there's where I'm going. So to make orange, you have red and yellow in this orange. So in theory, my skin tones have red and yellow. To make a magenta, you have red and a blue in there, with more on the side of red. Just really depends on the tone um, of red. There's blue, like I said, and with that yellow and the blue, then we have blue and yellow makes green. So I could even go with some green if I wanted to put in here. But I'm just playing with it. I like to use purple, the dark purple, because it gives it a level of richness. And I'm just going to break that out. And depending upon the girl that I want to show up is my color scheme. And man, I didn't prep my, whew, good thing I have strong hands. Still, old woman with strong hands. Unbelievable. Okay. Deb, I can't believe you're up with me. So here I'm throwing some purple in there just to show how that color can get really kind of crazy, right? So we have, this is the diazazine purple. Grab some more. I have magenta going on, and I started with orange. And normally I would not mix like this. I just kind of slap it together on there. Oopsie. But I'm trying to just show you how you can play with color. And so I'll put the color around in a circle, and then I'll mix in the center and pull in what I think I need as I go. There, I'm starting to get the richness of the brown that I want. Ah, right, so there's where I'm going. It's a mid-tone. I err on the side of pinks to represent youth. So this is my dagger, and it is loaded, and you can see that I have a plethora of color and different variations on here, and I'm all right with that. I'm just going to pull that down, pull that down. That was 3 pulls on the right leg. And I still have this dark space, which was the purple pastel that we brought in here yesterday. Those extra highlights where we did not really have complete coverage on the leg still is there. And you see, I can see in the camera how you gain the idea of a whole lot of detail with just the addition of that little bit of color on top of that pink and that white and that purple that we put in there yesterday. And the other part, which I can see that I know doesn't translate through the camera, is I can see that it's the ridges or that it's raised, the texture. So from a distance, when you're looking at a painting, it's actually creating its own shadow that you don't pick up really and with your eyeballs, but your brain does, and it gives it its 3D effect, and it just works. It's a very easy way to create the image in a 3D-esque look, not a flat look, to a silhouette-like, all my words, silhouette-like female standing in a row of flower fields. There we go. So as I come up to the edge of her, where her dress and her leg meets, there is a shadow. We captured that idea of the shadow yesterday with, let me point that out. Right in here, we laid some extra pastel in here, right? So the other, what's cool is when I bring in this pastel and it works with that brown, it is a wonderful tool back to the texture. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to remember that I want that darker up there. And I'm using the tip of this brush to make her happen. And I'm pulling down just a little bit. And way up here is her thigh line. I'm going to call this part of it. And I'm really accentuating and making the back right leg wider on purpose. That gives me the illusion, the idea, whatever, that her back leg is her right leg is extended backwards more. Her front leg is more forward. So I am creating kind of an angle right here, bringing this leg like up a little higher than I am this left leg, and pulling down some of that color. And again, a lot of this that we're doing, you're like, why am I doing this? We're going to paint over with flowers. Well, because I'm teaching and that's how I want to teach. That's why. So same principle up here. So we have the tricep. So there's our tricep area right here. Here's this tricep area right here. So here I'm coming down from the shoulder and I'm going to pull down towards the elbow. Yep. And then this arm here is coming, the arm is extended backwards some across the shoulder blade. So I'm going to pull this down towards the waistline. It's a little slight angle, right? That just reminds me of the direction of those arms. And I think, and I don't remember the whole muscular structure of the human anatomy at all, but some basic parts I do know. So I have my tricep here, and the front is the biceps. I'm going to pull with curved line towards that line I just made. And I'm picking up as I go. And what that does is that leaves some of the color line from the underlayer to peek through. So that helps. It just do as I ask, and I'll hush. Just do as I ask. And then here on this other side, it's still that dark layer of purple that I left untouched there. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side, except I'm coming from the right. And because there's more of the arm exposed to me here, more of the side of the arm, I am laying the angle of this dagger down and pulling to my right, from my right to my left. And then I'll walk with some little marks up the arm here with that same color into the flowers that we created yesterday. Again, I am not completely covering that underpainting. And what I can see is all the ridges from the chalk that we laid in yesterday. So here I'm going to come down the forearm just a little bit. And I did, here where the elbow connects, I did give it a little curvature as I come maybe towards the wrist line. Remember, we're going to say that this little girl is holding a flower. Someone reached out to me. I do have a buddy called Winston. He is in his box next to me. Big giant cage is getting ready to go away. I'm tired of the cage. Takes up too much of my space. But she suggested, and I'm creating this arm now. Here's my arm, and it's coming down to a hand. And the idea of a hand is really just a shape, like a rectangle, right? What is important is as you come from the elbow area and you come towards the angle, and I shift my voice, is you do have, it goes from a wider sense, so it narrows, it tapers to the wrist, and then open that wrist up a bit and create kind of a rectangle and pull some point off of it, and you'll get the idea, the illusion of a hand. But someone reached out to me yesterday and suggested I not have a flower there, but that I put my dog in. And aside from myself, she suggested that there are a lot of veterans out there with service animals and that it would be kind of cool to put her in the field. And so that may happen today. So up here at the neck, I'm going to tap in just some color. That's all I did. So I hit an area near the neckline. And then here at the top of the shoulder blade, so I'm angling at that V we talked about yesterday from the left shoulder blade to the center line being the backbone, from the right shoulder blade to the center line being her backbone. Keel of the vessel, the spine, yes. So we're just going to tap a little color right there. And then I'm going to swoosh some of this color at the front of her face. Not a whole lot, just a little bit, just to give the idea of a face up there. How did that go? Brilliant. Told you this would go so fast this morning as far as the body goes. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit because I want to keep the layers. When we do the next layer of color on her body, I want it to set on top. I don't want it to blend in so much. At this point, if I start blending the color on her, it's probably because I'm not happy with the result, and then I just kind of become a fuss bucket, and I don't want to do that this morning. I don't. So while the body is drying, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab some purple with a flat brush. And here where we colored in we used purple pastel and some white chalk yesterday to scribble the idea of a flower bouquet. So I'm literally taking a mid-body paint and literally just tapping it on, kind of scraping it around in circular motions. You can even do square motion. So I'm allowing some of the color from yesterday, the chalk from yesterday in pastel, to peek through. And then some areas I'm not covering all of that space. Why am I starting with purple first? I'm going to let this dry a bit. We'll come in with the other colors. This really helps create the undertone, the shadows underneath, without a whole bunch of effort. So there is my diazazine purple. We put that on top of the pastel and the white chalk from yesterday, which is layered on top of all the colors that we used in part 1. Hi, Michael Shore. Michael Shore, I see you in here. Thank you for popping in, Michael. How is the bride? I hope everybody's doing well in the fam. And Deb, such a cool idea. Are you talking when I'm checking at your notes or your comments? I'm assuming the cool idea is about the dog. So yes, I will try, probably. We'll see. So here too, I'm going to come in with this purple a little bit and just tap in. And with this, let's say it's a flat brush, so just pull some purple down. So we're going to make this one kind of bloom out a bit. So pull some of that purple down, and here where I see my paint chunking up and it's mixing with the chalk, that is great. Just leave that right there. Here, let's scribble some circles over the chalk we put in yesterday with that same purple, and I haven't reloaded that brush. Here I'm going to come in and do some more right here. Right here's a little bit more. And as I'm doing this, I'm using both the flat edge, I'm using the corners to draw in, and I'm creating circular motion for circular shape, right? But I'm not obsessing that it has to be a perfect circular, because flowers are by no means perfect. I can come in and add some triangular shape if you want, some square, just really kind of go for it. Because we put that purple and the pastel chalks in yesterday over the acrylic paint, it's set in. That has this process really creates a petal-like effect very quickly for you. So there is our purple layer to start. I'm going to pull that paint out of the brush a little bit. I'm going to put some of the same color though, which is the purple diazazine. And I'm going to come down and walk the dog. That's tapping that purple down the flagpole. And while I'm at it, I want to pull some of this down my purple, my blue area. Here too, I want some. Up here maybe, just a little bit. And I'll come in. That's really going to darken that space. I'm letting that dry. We're going to do another pull on this field of flowers in that area. So all the areas got a couple of pulls of that purple. I'm really pulling my paint out, coming back to my color, setting that down. Let me do that. That's the brush. So now while I'm going to come back to her body area and her hair, and I'm going to leave my flowers alone. I need to cover my purple. And see how my paint's doing over here. I need to work fast with it. It will dry too quickly. So I'm going to brighten this up, this next layer. So same color mixture, I'm in the center, grabbing some of that orange, right? That really shifts her tone, brightens it a bit. And my friend that I talk about this piece as it's represented in memory of. So this piece is in memory of a young man that I lost once on Westpac, once upon a time. In 1991, Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Of all things, well, I won't go into it, but this is about his wife that he left behind. She was beautiful, beautiful human, and a couple of babies. So I just touched that again, and I have some of this brown, and I'm going to come in here, and with the knife edge, I'm starting at the part line. Remember we talked about how this back line, this here is her skull. So I'm going to own that hairline with her skull and then swirl it out. And I'm doing knife edge. I'm using the knife edge of the brush and just kind of twirling it, thinking that the wind is blowing a bit. She had fabulous hair. Gorgeous woman. Gorgeous. Just beautiful. So that's what this piece is about that young man. And I was young in my career and trying to gain my surface warfare pin, which I received just prior to his passing. But he helped me learn my fire main system, my engineering spaces, la da 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 da. I would be on watch with my little gun, come by Damage Control Central, and sit there for a minute, pull out my notes, and learn, and then go back out on watch for 6 months, seemed like. Anyway, I just grabbed some red, and that's the magenta, and I wanted to tease in some of the magenta here at the collarbone, and that is a tease of this magenta and a little bit of that orange. It is a darker space. It's at the base of her neck, but it is exposed. And I also want to tease us, and I'm going to alternate back and forth like a V coming down her spine, because I'm going to open up her back with color. We're going to make this dress more backless. To me, she's a young maid, very much in her prime, lost her mate, and is showing up as she would normally show up for him at the pier side when he would return. And anyway, so I'm lightening that up with some bright magenta and some orange. Here I just picked up some orange all by its lovely self, and I'm going to tease some on that shoulder blade here. I'm going to tease some on the back of this tricep over here. I want some at the elbow line and pull it down. And then up the arm a little bit. Here with that orange, just a little bit down the leg and down the leg. And why the orange? Because I like the color scheme. That's the color scheme I'm using in here, and I'm using it as a highlight. I will come in and do some magenta and some white in there as well. These same colors, I need to look. My Katie, you know about Winston. Let me see. The cord is hanging over the pick. Oh, my bad. Whoop, whoop. Is that better? Thanks, Deb. Such a silly goose sometimes. So this is magenta that I'm laying in. The same colors that I'm going to lay in on her body will come into her hair. So this layer is the magenta and orange mix. We started with the dark blues and purples yesterday. Then we came in with our first tone of brown. This is the magenta and orange. And what's great about the magenta is that it's translucent. So when you lay it in, you really can capture the colors underneath as well. And I get pretty carried away with my hair and really just kind of dramatize it. It's off to the right. There we go. So now I'm going to pick up a little bit of this white and smudge it in here, twirl it about in my brown area, and it becomes kind of a muted mauve, maybe. If it's too muted, you can play with your orange and things. If you don't like it, once it's laid on, you can paint over it. But I'm trying to do this quickly, so I want to just touch down a little bit, drag down the front space, the front area where her bicep would be in the front area of the arm, maybe down the forearm, right? What it really helps is because we have all that chalk laid in, when you're looking at your painting, you can almost see the ridges of her arm, which allows you to think of how her muscular shape. You can actually define it with a paintbrush then. So hopefully I'm able to communicate that well enough for you. So here I want to kiss some of this color, and I need to be really careful, light with my hand. And for the sake of TV or video, I'm going to use a different brush in case others. So use your number 2 round. Pick up just a little bit of that light mauve color that we've created, and kiss the front of her face just a little bit. And then with that same pointer, twirl some down, right? Because in the event that you made that a little too big, bringing these extra lines in will just kind of make it all look intentional. And I am twirling some of her hair now into the flowers with this lighter color. I didn't moisten the bristles of my brush. I removed some of the excess color. I'm picking up some more of this color over here, the mauve, the brown, and I'm going to come down her leg on the left-hand side, and over here on the right side at her top hip line, I'm going to show some of that exposure and at her thigh and pull that down just a little bit. Sorry for the noise. Same, let's see, I'm going to pick up some of the purple on the knife edge, and down where we had that chalk line in the center, I'm going to tap in to really define that shadow between her legs. And then here under the dress, I'm going to tap in some of this purple, and to identify that we have a dress structure. So here at her shoulder, where her shoulder and her shoulder blade come together, I'm just going to tap and own. We did create some brown in her back, and we did this V stroke back and forth, back and forth. So on the outer side of that, I'm tapping in to define that her back is exposed. So we're designing a dress. And notice I have blue and pink and all the colors in here, and I don't care, because as it taps in, it's just creating its own ensemble, its own design, dress design. And because I'm tapping like this, it creates material. I get the idea of material. All that is what's going on in my head. So I picked up some more purple. I have not cleaned this brush. I'm going to do the same thing. Yesterday we ended class by me putting some scribble on her dress. I shared that at the lower space of our back is our darkest shaded area. It's a concave space, so your back line comes back and it meets with your pelvic area and yada yada, and it's concave there. So that means it's a darker space. Then we're going to have, I'm going to pick up another brush just for the sake of conversation. I'm going to show you that right here, it is lighter. And it's lighter there. We have a highlight there. And I'm going to come around because that's her buhini, right? That's her hip line. So that's a curve. That's a curve line. We're pulling way out here. Or you can make it as curved as you'd like, or you can make it as, you can put as much curve to that as you'd like. But what I will say is on this right side, I started on the right side, and I'll do it again with the light white on my brush, and I'm pulling from that purple-esque center line at the base of her back. And I started over here for a reason. I'm gonna keep saying that. See all this striation that's happening? Ah, that's luscious. So one, we're pulling that over her hip line or over her bottom. That area is exposed to this light. This is where our light is hitting. So that's a highlighted space. As I come more to the left, it's in the shadow of her arm. It's not having the direct light how I have it set up here. She's got light from two directions, the fireworks, and then from this direction. But I'm going to have this be darker. And what this also does is she's twisted kind of. So that really helps you create that illusion. Because painting and drawing, all it is an illusion. You're creating something on a flat piece of paper that gives the idea of a three-dimensional subject. So that's how we're doing that. So we're creating a dark space on this left-hand side. Same pole, right? So it's darkest right here on my left, the left hip. Now I'm just dragging it all the way down. And I don't have to really pull in any more paint. It's just dragging over that pastel that we put in here. I still see magenta underneath. I'm pulling here now. This is kind of my palette. See how that works? And because I have these lines coming through as I pull, that's the material of her dress. Maybe, I don't know. So and then as I come more to the right with this pull, they're going to come together. I'm going to grab a little water, just a little bit in this brush, and a little white. And I'm going to, since I want the highlight to stay on my right, I'm going to err on the side of caution and start here again. What was really cool is you can't see on camera is that water displaced on my page. That was awesome. But as I bring these two, the dark space and the light space together, it's going to create the mid area. So I will marry the color. It will get a mid-tone as we approach, blend together. And when I say blend, I'm not meaning blendy blendy. I'm not a blendy girl. Do not sit here and do blendy blendy. What I mean is we're going to go from a very bright white to a mid-violet to a darker purple. And in the, I can't see it, my neck sometimes will not cooperate. In the original, the dress is more purple than blue, and I remembered that when I was thinking of you, Deb, because I know you love purple, so we're going to try and lend this one more to purple than to blue. So that helps, that just really creates her dress line. So on mine, I can see through it, and I can see the colors from yesterday. I can see the magenta. All the scribble from the chalk is under there. So it really gives it a sassy-esque look. So I like this pointer that I can come in now and I can tap in some detail at the base, right? So this would be shadow break. So in my design of this dress, I'm thinking that there's multiple layers, not of tulle, but of, I don't know, some sort of lace dress. So We need some breakup in that, so I'm going to tap in some dark purple, but definitely have some at the base, the edge. Definitely bring some more in here at the center line of her back. Maybe this can be a bow-like thing. We'll see if I make that happen. While I'm tapping this, where we had this initial shape that we created, now I'm going to own that shape, and I'm going to tap in this dark purple down the edge to own it. Because I'm using a medium bodied paint, because we have all that pastel and all that kind of thing going on in this piece, there's a lot of texture. So it seems complicated, but it's really, there's not a lot of paint involved. So here at her waistline with this same purple, I'm going to tap in a little bit and kind of go towards the flag area. Remember, she's twisted a bit. I'm going to tap in a little darkness under her elbow here, and at the back side of this tricep, I'm going to pull down because that would definitely create some shadow. She has a sassy little like partial sleeve up here, so I'm going to tap in some darkness under there to own some shadow. I'm going to let her shoulder show because it showed up for me here too. If you don't like your shoulder, you can cover it. And I should show that probably. So I'm tapping in, and I'm going to tap in a little. I'm going to just pull some dark line, just a little dark line, not too much, down that dress area in there. Brilliant. Let me look for comments. Are there any more comments? I'm seeing you. Nope, no more comments. Okay, same purple. I haven't reloaded. I'm going to drag some of this purple through her hair. Not too much, really keeping it on the underside. Underside being down here low because her head's kind of cocked. You know, part of this would be exposed to the right. We do have this right side a little more bright over here. If you haven't noticed, we still are letting those purple flowers dry. Yay. Looking at my time. I hope everybody's having fun. I'm rinsing all the brushes. All the brushes are in the pot. Please make sure you don't leave your brushes in your water, even inexpensive brushes. I'm bad about it, but I've gotten become so much better. So I'm rinsing and I'm pulling paint out of my bristles, out of my brushes. I'm terrible about getting the paint up into the ferrule, ferrule is this portion where the bristles and the metal come together. That's what binds or holds the bristles together. Whoo. Okay. My paint, I know, is starting to get a little, I want some red. We've used some red. So all the colors that are in the painting will go into her body. That way she is a part of the whole piece. I'm a representative of the life of the piece, so I will bring some red in next. But before I do, I'm going to pick up some of it with a large bristled brush, no water, and just pull some more red down in this front area. And I'm taking it across those flowers right out of the gate. I want to pull some red over this purple, and here it's raised a bit. I like that. Remember the original I talked about yesterday, I made with heavy bodied paint, oiled paints, pastels, all the things. So it had a lot of texture, or it has a lot of texture. So there's the red. I'm going to pull some Prussian blue. I'm moving quick. And boogers. I just have the blue out there because I'm going to put the blue in her hair. Because I said any color that I put on the piece putting Payne's Gray. I need to pull some Payne's Gray. I will put into the piece, into her. That also harmonizes it for me. Let's see. So we need some ultramarine out for her and the piece. Right now I need to pull all my colors that I'm going to use. So I'm pulling the Persian blue. Need some of the red back. Need some of the orange. That's the Pyrrole Orange. Do I need some more? Dot, 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 dot. How's everybody doing? Deb, thanks for saying she's gorgeous. I kind of like her. At the end of the process, I'm going to break out my teal. Don't let me forget my teal. Holler at me. Let's see. Payne's Gray. It's always a challenge for me to remember all the colors that I used. So I make sure that I put them in my girl. Up, we used silver. So I need to put it here. And when I say by the girl, it could be on her skin, it could be in her dress, it could be in her hair, it could be in the flowers. However. Ba-dum. And we did use some cadmium yellow. And what I haven't introduced is green, but I will introduce a green. All right, let's rock this baby. So to start, I'm going to use the my flat brush and pick up some of this red. And over here on my right, I'm just going to tap on top of some of the purple. I'm not circling around. I'm not making square lines. I'm literally just tapping in some color, setting the brush down, and tapping. It creates the idea of the flower, and it works very well. So you just got to trust me. Here, please. And here we remember we had those flat marks that we did with the purple, so I just came on some more with that red. What I want to do with this one is, so I have a purple, let's just say blob. So half the blob down, I'm going to place my finger just for the sake of clear communication. I'm going to set my bristles at the top of my finger and pull up. Set my bristles at the top, pull up, and pull up. That exposes the center. Then I just want to come and flick from the bottom. And that gives me the idea of a bloom, and that leaves the purple in the center, which is our seeds, the seed space. So to here, let's do that same thing, and I'm actually going to touch on her leg a minute. So here, it's kind of a, we'll go with the great term of round blob, purple round blob right there. It's about in the shape of prayer, perhaps. And I don't mean prayers and we're praying or anything, but just for the sake of conversation, it's a seed pod for me. So the center, I'm going to come with the corner of my brush and pull down, and just allow that bloom to open up and be over her leg a bit, but it's still pointed forward. So the largest petals are over her leg. As we come a little closer, or as the flower opens, and let's just say it's having a conversation with the flag, this is the mid petals, they're barely opening. And then here, it's a little tiny one that shows it's connected and opening, and that gives the illusion of hello. So back here, let's try some scribble. So there's just a mark, and a mark, and a mark. 3 marks on this one. And really, I'm just looking at my own marks on my page, and based on the marks on my page is how I am choosing to go forward. And I think sometimes with the struggle with people is that I really love flowers. Flowers make me so happy. So I pay a lot of attention to how they're structured and how they open up, because you know, they're fairies and flowers and they talk to me. So when I'm designing, they just kind of show up and they become a certain type of flower for me, and it's easy for me to make a mark and make that happen. Sometimes that doesn't sometimes it doesn't come across for people, and I apologize for that. But I do try to explain, maybe too much. So here I'm just going to come in and put some red mark, because this would be underneath. They're barely peeking through. And this one, I am going to allow that to cover her legs a little. And I'm letting that dry. So now I'll rinse my brush up. I take that back. I'm going to put some red in her hair. So let's say she has a red hairband. Before I put the red in, I'm going to show you where her red hairband is. Let's just create a right line. So right here is where I'm going to put that. I'm going to tap in. And take it up top here. Whoops. How does that work? There's some red there. So that puts all of that together. I'm rinsing the brush. I did pull some of the Prussian blue, and I'm going to bring some of this blue over here on the dark side of the moon. Oh, that was so much fun to say that. Oh, just having so much fun this morning. So then I'm going to just gradually pull some of this color over. Oh, it's just luscious. So now we have a purple-esque here in the dark space. There's a little bit of this blue over here in the center, and I'm going to leave this highlight here on the right hand side. So again, we have what I'm calling the keel, or the spine is her center line, and your back creates its own concave space. As you get closer to the spine, it's darker. And then anywhere where your material comes together, touches your skin, is darker. I'm tapping in this blue right over that purple that we put in earlier. Just taps, and I'm not being rigid with my taps, as in I'm not making sure it's in the exact spot. I want to tap in some blue underneath at this hairline here. And I'm even going to tap in at the base of her, right in that area. At her elbow lines on the inside, tap some in. Underneath her hairline here where we put that purple, go ahead and put some of that blue line in. And tap some in at the base of her dress, where we just put that red, and we tapped, set your brush behind the red, so make a second row. And that's really putting the blue underneath the red, kind of. Puts it behind. Behind as in the red is forward facing the flag. So that helps give it a three-dimensional space to show up. While I'm here, I just saw an earring pop in, so I'm going to create one, which means I know where my silver is going. So right here, I'll put an earring in there. That's just a little funky circle. And dress her for the ball, baby. And on my brush is still some of the Persian blue. Now I'm going to pick up some of the Ultramarine blue, and I'm going to tap in up here at the shoulder line. And I'm going to tap that all the way down where her rib cage would be. And here we had the purple. Remember from yesterday, we drew it in with the pastel, and I'm just really tapping in and rocking. I'm rocking my brush back and forth. This is a heavy-bodied ultramarine, so the texture shows up. The texture I like. The texture gives me the idea of material, the ensemble of her dress, and I'm tapping it in all the way over here. So, and then I'll tap some down, and when I'm tapping, as she comes down, as I tap down the skirt area, so I'm setting the brush and rocking, setting the brush, rocking, but I'm going really fast, back and forth. And as I do that with heavy body paint, it leaves behind a mess, which mess on my hand, but it is magic for her skirt. At this time, at this place in the game, it really raises, it gives, like maybe that's a ribbon. We talked about having a bow. Then I'm going to pull some of that towards that front where the white flowers are. That really twists and creates a crazy cool depth to her, gives the idea of a swing in her space, a swing in her step, a pause in her motion, if you will. So I hope it's really, man, I really like to do this in person with folks. So with that same blue, I'm going to come in and I'm going to touch some on the, where the red was. Just helps mute that red. Here where we had some of the flowers, and I have this much of the paint, I'm going to come in and I'm going to tap some down. Do I want to put any in here? Nope, I'm not going to leave any there. What I will do with this blue is I'll come in and I'll pull some down my flower field. I pulled that with a knife edge, or I can lay it in very gently with the brush as well and leave behind texture. I can also use the same concept that I did with the skirt and roll the brush. If you had a palette knife or something, that would lend well here. And I can roll this over the white space back here at the end, still maintain highlights. I have to be mindful that this is here so it's dry, so if my little hands get and touch it, I can jack it up, and I don't want to do that. I said how excited I am to be announcing the winner. I cannot believe that person popped up. That was so exciting. I really hope I'm able to get in touch with her. Like I said, I reached out to her this morning by messenger. I need to look at my old notes if I still have them for her number. My life has changed considerably since I was there. All I'm doing is I'm practicing the same thing. I'm rolling the brush. I'm rolling paint texture. Brilliant, brilliant. Let's see. Thank you for your service, my Katie. Let's see. What else does it say? I need to put my glasses on. Let me take a break. I'm going to take a break, read your comment, and say hello for a sec. Hey there. So where are you? So thank you for your service, Miss Katie. Well, thank you, Miss Deb. 19-year-old grandson Caleb is on his way to Corpus Christi, Texas for his 3-year assignment with Coast Guard. Thank you. You know, Coast Guard is served. You don't get enough credit for what they do, and what they do on our coastline, it's amazing. And I won't go into all of it, but it's amazing. And thank you for how you support him. I see your pictures on how you guys hang out at the beach and all that. I saw the recent one. It's awesome. Young people, when they're deployed like that, they really need support from home, and it just makes such a difference in a person's world when they're gone. And even at a short distance, people think that when a military person is stateside, that it doesn't matter. Well, stateside or not, if you're away from your home, your family, it matters. It really. So thank you for how you support him. Not everybody gets the support that you give that young laddie. And I'm so excited. I remember when you shared, God, we've known each other a minute now. I remember when you shared that he was going into the service. Okay, before I forget, I have silver and gold, silver though. And I want to touch in some silver on this earring that we created. Kind of mute that white a bit. Let that dry. In reality, we are about done if I really want it to be done. So in the 2, I'm going to pick up with this angle brush some white, and I'm going to tap in white. I'm aware that we painted in our cross yesterday, and I'm just coming up a little bit to these mounds of soil that's representative of gravestones or grave markers or fresh graves. You know, I do a lot of service work, H&Is in hospital and institutions. The first Sunday of each month, most months, unless I have an art event over the summer, that was the exception. I take a panel in and work in places, and I can't tell you that I'm never in one that I'm not with veterans where it doesn't make a difference. And there's so many people that are struggling with all kinds of things. I understand, but my passion is the struggle of veterans, mental health, drug and alcohol addiction, just addictions and all kinds of things. And then my passion for people with traumatic histories and backgrounds and blah, 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 blah. But there was a young man this past Sunday that sometimes when a person hugs you, you will never forget that hug. It's a hug of connection. It's a hug of desperation. It's just a hug of, please don't give up on me. And I don't. I refuse. So that's one of the reasons why I do this. I chose to do this painting. Some people actually cautioned me against the art giveaway at Veterans Day, cautioned me against putting this painting forward. Yeah. So all I'm doing now is tapping in a little white with that angle brush to give a little more pow to this backside here, or that is your horizon line, but by just bringing in a little more color, it defines it. I want to put a couple more highlights of white out there. Do want to just tap in on my pole a little bit, and let's see. I'm letting everything over here dry before we'll do one last pass, hopefully, knock on wood. I have just a speck of white on this tip, and I'm just going to pull a highlight on my little crosses. And here I'm tapping in some of the brown and orange a little bit at the base because, as I said, this could be new markers. So that's what that represents for me. Rinse that brush, rinse the white. Let's see. So although I can make green, so over here there's water in my brush and it had some white in it still. So I'm mixing that ultramarine and whatever muck was left in my brush. I'm picking up some yellow. And I'm going to Just tap in a few spots of green. I do want to pull here at the where she would be holding the bouquet. Maybe this is, I'm just going to put some structure in here with some green line taps. Give the idea of leaves. Let that dry a minute. Maybe grab a little more yellow, a little white, brighten that up. Touch in a little orange to mute it down, brighten it up, mute it up. Just shifts the color of the green. I usually will add some sort of red into my greens. It just helps it be a little more natural for me. And I'm tapping in with the tip of my brush. Let's see. Back to this pointer. I want to pick up some of that color I just made and pull some down. Starting with the lighter color first, in case I don't like the line. It's easier for me to make it go away at this point than a darker color. So I will come in with a darker color. So this is going to show stem lines or grass. So if this were poppies, field of poppies, they're a very spindly grass-like, grass-esque flower. And I'm okay with that color. And they have a real strong blue note to the leaf, but I'm not going to go into all of that. But I do have chromium oxide that I just pulled. It's a darker green. That right here, I'm going to come in at the base of these flowers, and I'm going to tap in at the base. Just to create the idea of that plant and the stem are connected. I'm not going to go into all the detail of the leaf and how in the same color I'll come in here and tap some in. This is a heavy bodied paint, so too I'm leaving behind quite the dollops of paint when I'm tapping in like this. Here I am going to make some wisp lines and allow it to go up the dress a little bit. I'm not going to put my dog in this one. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I just try to err on the side of time because of people. Thanks, Deb, for your... Wow, we haven't put Payne's gray in here, so let's Payne's gray some dots in this piece. Why Payne's gray? Well, because everything creates shadow, and so you need something to contrast. I did advertise this as a complementary class, right? So the red and the green are opposing in color, opposing on the color wheel, which makes them complementary. So they contrast pretty well. But if you use if the whole painting consists of that, and you don't vary the tone of it, then they really doesn't have any kind of pop. And I try and create a lot of the pop with purple. I'm going to take some of this Payne's gray underneath here, that same space where we've been saying is our dark space. That helps create the movement, it helps create the shadow, helps create the illusion of the 3D, the whole thing. We can even pull that through the flowers a bit. I can take some off here. Anyway, it just helps really define, gives definition to your piece. So too, here I'm going to tap some in the center maybe of some of these flowers, just a little bit, not too much. I'm going to change this flower. I'm going to put some black right there. I'm going to just dot in, and if I need to grow them a bit, I will. And by grow, what I mean is if I need to add another row of petals, I will. So I'm rinsing all the brushes. I'm looking at the piece. Really, when it gets like this, if I start fussing too much, I'm going to destroy it, and I don't want to do that. But here I may potentially blow your brain. White pastel chalk. We have been letting the paint dry a bit, so now I really want to come in and own some sass on her sleeves. It will really make her pop. Just already, that just went wow. And then that, remember all that purple and blue line that we created? This is why. So we're just going to open that up, and that really creates some great contrast. And yes, we're going to apply paint there. And then here at the base of her, we'll scribble some in. Here maybe just barely touch over some of that rigid blue line and all that color that we added. Awesome. So why chalk? Why not just paint? Well, people really, white paint, once you start adding white paint, it's hard to recover at the end of a piece. So I use the white chalk to help us start the process. And I'm picking up some of the Persian blue, and where is my ultramarine? I used it all already. Just a little bit of Persian blue and the ultramarine. I needed some water a little bit. Persian blue is, or Prussian blue is such a complex color for me. I really like it. And I'm going to touch where we just laid that chalk with the paint. And I'm just tapping in. I'm not making all the chalk go away, as you can see, right? It's just really creating another layer to her dress. It's definitely not a flat form. You definitely can touch it when this is all finished. Don't touch it now. And we'll hopefully be rewarded. I'm going to grab some white now. There's still all that blue and everything loaded in my brush, and there's chalk. I need to go fast because I don't want to ruin my brush. So see that I have the paint still here. I'm going to touch just a little bit of the white. And I'm going to start where I think it's the most highlight. So the most white here towards the flag, here at her shoulder towards the flag. Maybe up here, a couple spots towards the flag. Because as I start tapping in, now I'm going to pull that white out just a little bit because I don't want too much. I put the color down first. It's wet. It's going to it'll move with my brush, but I'm using the white that literally I set down first as the palette. And wherever my white chalk is kind of telling me where the highlights are. I need to start again. I need to do that same process. I picked up a little more white. Here at her shoulder, where it's accented here, where it's cocked back, I will have a highlight there. So I'm going to tap in some of that white here to start. Pull some of the extra white out of my brush, and then keep coming. Nobody. I picked up some more white. I really want to show off back here a bit. So I'm really pulling that up with the light, with the white, and then I'm just tapping in, bringing some of that forward more. Forward being towards the flag, it's rolling it off of her hip in that direction. I don't want to lose this darkness at all. That's a little too baby blue for me, so I'm pulling the color out of my brush, picking up some more white, and just being mindful of, I'm trying to capture white a little bit. One more time. Even maybe on her earring just a touch more up here. Okay, that's enough on the dress, maybe one more. Maybe right here at her shoulder area. And then I have some of this, is my brown and all that still married? Does it work for me? I still have some magenta, I still have some orange, still have some of this going over here, so I need a highlight. So I'm making that muted mauve, which was the brown, the orange, the magenta. I'm going to pull some of my red in just to add all the color. Pull all the red, the color. Here's some yellow. Like, do not be afraid of color. That's what this is all about. And bringing in some white. Some more orange. What are you doing, Kathleen? I am making highlights. I just want to touch right here. Pull down a little bit. At her elbow. At her elbow. At that thigh line. Maybe right there in the front thigh line. Awesome. And here's where it's going to get scary. Okay, so I just believe in painting is what it is, right? I'm at the end of my game here. So regardless of what happens, I'm going to be finished. So my goal is to introduce white to the flowers here, maybe some red, but really I just want to lend more towards the white. Down here, I'm okay with bringing in some red first. And maybe some yellow real quick, whatever is over here on my palette. See how that just worked? I think if you painted with me before, you understand that it gets a little wild at the end. Right, so let's just give some reality, some less, it just, I don't know, open up those lines a bit so it doesn't look as rigid. I'm gonna let that dry, maybe, nope, let's grab some red and pull some big red this way. Okay, now I'm letting that dry. I will come in with some really light highlights of a yellow-green here shortly, and just do some wisp marks in there. I am going to touch in a little bit of red here. If you go to a cemetery, you will see, you can even put a red, white, and blue flag there, but I'm not going to today. You will see the cemeteries marked with flags, poppies, all the things. American Legion. Do you know the history of the poppy? That's a good Google question for folks. Do you know the history of the poppies in the United States or in the world? How did the poppy become a symbol from World War I. Okay, so white. I'm tapping in and tapping in. And I can jack this up if I'm not careful. I'm going to remove the water. Different brush. No water in my brush. No water. And just trying to see, and I'm using different marks. The worry is if I didn't let it dry enough that I can just shift the color dramatically. What I want to do is just to create a better look of flower, like she's carrying flowers. And I can get carried away. So I'm just working very intuitively, and I'm going to leave the white alone now, I think, up here. Yeah, tap in a couple of dots. I did say don't let me forget the turquoise, the teal. Tapping in some dots down here. I'm starting to fuss because I'm not happy. Just how I am. So here is some yellow. Let's just start dotting in some yellow. And you can stop on your piece. Err on the side of less is more sometimes when you choose to. Just there is no specific shape that I'm after. I'm going to dot in some yellow down here. Just a little bit. And did I say I was excited about announcing who the winner is? So excited about that. Oh, gosh, I hope she wants it. You know, you do this giveaway, and I said that I'm going to add some red now, and that's where I can really, I'm scared because I can make pink, and I really don't want to make pink. Prop. That kind of worked. Yes, leave that alone. So now I want to pull some this way. Yes, leave that alone. I entered all my former clients as well as those, and we had a considerable amount of people. Really surprised me the number of people that entered. Very, very humbled by that. That people would want the red, white, and blue. But I entered in old clients, and who knows, one, they may not want the piece. So there's always that. They may say, well, okay, but thanks, but no thanks. So on this brush, here's my last thing I'm going to do. This is laden with this yellow-green muck that I made over here, and there's some orange in it. There's some ultramarine. It's ultramarine blue, it's Prussian blue. It was the cadmium yellow and a little orange. And let me put some white, more white. And I'm just gonna very fine lines. And then wisp some in down here maybe. And last color, and I'm really calling it done. Crack myself up. Deb, I just love you. So I want to dot some. I'm just making dots for the sake of I want to make dots. It worked in the other piece. Dotting on this side of the dress only. This shoulder line, I should say. I'm not going to put any over on the right shoulder line. And I'll dot some over here to bring that forward. And I'll put a little tiny bit up here on this corner. Because I'm a weirdo and I want to connect all the dots, haha, no pun, I'm going to put some of that turquoise in these flowers. Really, I'm not a weirdo, it's just helping it to harmonize the piece. And I'll put some dots in up here, not around that red, just dots. And real light, whoops, be careful. Don't want, so I rinsed my brush. Don't want. This is going right over the dark space that, or the dark we've been putting in the darker colors here, and this is going over the top of some of those darker colors on purpose. Creates the contrast. I'm having everything start from these highlights that we're doing now, start from where that headband was that we created. And if I'm not careful, I can get too carried away. But there's that. So while I'm here, let's bring a line, a turquoise line down. From the turquoise line, I'm going to pick up some of the Payne's gray. The end of the Payne's gray here that we just created, this mark, I'm going to create some red, put some white, put some green. That pulls that darker color over those poppies, so that really it just makes them all layered, intertwined with each other is what that's doing. And then for the flower itself, let's start with purple. I have my flat brush. And I'm just laying in purple right here. And perhaps this bloom, let's put some of that purple up here. I'm actually just clearing my brush. Came from that bouquet. Now white. Rinse the brush. Back to the pointer. And I have some of my brown left on here, and I'm going to pull some of the brown down. And I have some of that crazy greenish stuff that I had, so I'm going to pull some line right there. And hopefully that works for everybody. There's some yellow. There's some white. There's some of this crazy green color. Just okay. Enough. I hope you like it. Thanks, Nicole. I didn't know you were there. I just saw your little pop-up. There's some dots to make that red flower show up more. I could just keep playing. I need to stop. Ah. I feel like just Kathleen. Right now I'm Kathleening myself. This is a little white highlight. it's kind of the white and the pink. It's just a little lighter. And I'm going to put one up here too. And I'm going to touch her whole face again too. Touch over here. Just need some touches. Okay, quit fussing. Fuss, fuss, fuss. So, there we go. That was a big one. Woohoo! I hope everybody liked her or likes her. Let's see. I can't even tell when I'm on top like that. I can't tell what is being made. I can't even tell if you really can see her. But I really enjoy putting this one together. Can't tell you how good it was from my heart. I will work on the silhouettes for the dogs. I drew some last night. I just didn't feel like bringing it out this morning. There's a lot of dots connected with this piece that I wanted to make sure happen. And if I focused on that dog, I don't know that I would have achieved the young lady. But here was the example that I had shared. Can we see that? Let me do it this way. So here's the example that we'd started with, and I think we achieved the goal. I'm pleased with the result of what we achieved today and yesterday, and thanks so much for hanging out with me. And the winner is Marty Bernard, M-A-R-T-Y, Bernard, B-A-R. So Marty again is going to be the winner of the website giveaway, and I just cannot say enough on how excited I am that she gets to be the winner. So in my heart, she's happy, and we'll find out because I messaged her. I sent her a message on Messenger this morning, so hopefully she's excited. But again, I met her at I want to say 2016, 17, I don't know. I've lost track. But I'm in a VFW in Santee. She showed up to a paint and sip class there of the poppies piece that I did, the original poppy piece that I did. And from there, she invited me to, she asked if I would be interested in, of all things, creating a painting event for the Olin Winehorse Museum in El Cajon. Unbelievable experience for me at the time. And of course I said yes, was quaking in my literal cowboy boots when I painted that piece there amongst art lovers of that man's work. That man's work is incredible. Can't believe I was asked to do that. And I know she's a patriot, and she supports so many good causes. So very excited to hear from her. I hope she is happy to win either of the pieces, and if not, if I don't hear from her by close of biz Monday, then I'll pick somebody else. But thanks so much. Happy Veterans Day. Thanks for hanging out with me early in the morning. Love you all so much. Mwah.